Poppy, and I'm a sophomore at Okemos High School. My favorite food is any type of Thai food. Today we're going to be talking about fractions, converting to decimals, and converting them to percents. Let's first start with fractions. Here I drew a circle, and I shaded in one part, but it has two equal parts in total. So we can write this one part as 1 over 2, one shaded part over the two total parts. So this circle represents the fraction 1 over 2. This circle has 4 parts. We only have one part shaded. So if we count the total number of parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, over the shaded number of parts, 1, we can write 1 over 4. One shaded part over the 4 total parts. So this circle represents the fraction 1/4. So let's talk about decimals. A decimal is another way to represent a fraction. We can find out what decimal this fraction represents by dividing the numerator by the denominator, which is the top number divided by the bottom number. So let's long divide 1 divided by 2. So we put the numerator in the inside and the denominator on the outside. 2 goes into 1 0 times. So we can put a 0 up here and add a decimal. Now we can add zeros because 1 is equal to 1.0. So now how many times does 2 go into 10? It goes into 10 5 times because 2 times 5 is 10. So we can add a 5 here. Subtract 10, which is 1.0, we get 0. You can also find 0.5 by using a calculator. So now we just converted 1/2 to a decimal, which is 0.5. Now let's try 1/4. Let's long divide 1 divided by 4. So 1 is smaller than 4, so 4 goes into 1 0 times. Now we add a decimal, and we can add as many zeros as we want. How many times does 4 go in 10? 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 3 is 12. So we're going to choose 2 because 8 is less than 10. So now we get Now, how many times does 4 go into 20? 5 times, because 4 times 5 is 20. You can also get this number by dividing 1 by 4 in a calculator. So now we know that the fraction 1/4 converted to a decimal is 0.25. Now let's talk about percents. So a percent is a special way to write a fraction. We use percents all the time in daily life, like for taxes and to know how much something is on sale in a store. So if we have the percentage 25%, this means that we have 25 out of 100. Percents always take their number out of 100. So what about the percent 72? 72%. The way to convert this into a fraction is just to write 100 as a denominator. The percent sign is basically telling you that it's 72 parts out of 100 parts. Let's convert the fraction 1/2 into a percentage. So we know that a percentage always has to be out of 100 parts. So we can start with 1/2. So how do we get 1/2 to something out of 100? We can multiply this so that it can be equal to 100. So first let's try and multiply this entire fraction by 10 over 10. We can do this because 10 over 10 is equal to 1. So 1/2 times 1 is still 1/2. So we're technically not changing anything about the fraction. So when we're multiplying fractions, we just do top times top and bottoms times bottom. So we would get 10 out of 20. So what do we need to do to get the denominator to 100? Well, 100 divided by 20 is 5. So if we multiply this fraction by 5 over 5, which is also 1 technically, we can get 50 over 100. Now since we have a fraction over 100, we can write it as 50%. And that's our answer. Now let's try for another fraction. So we have the fraction 1/4. We're trying to get the denominator to be 100. So, what's 100 divided by 4? It's 25. So if we multiply this fraction by 25 over 25, we can get the denominator to be 100. So it'd be 100 on the bottom, and top times top, which would be 25. Since we have the fraction now out of 100, we can write it as 25%. Now let's convert decimals to percentages. The simple rule that you have to remember to always convert a decimal to a percentage is always multiply the decimal by 100. So, if we want to convert the decimal 0.5 to its percentage, we can do 0.5 times 100. When you're multiplying things by a factor of 10, you can move the decimal for how many zeros there are. Here we have 2 zeros, so we can move the decimal one place, boom, and 2 places. So now we get 50. And now you just add a percent at the end, and that's your percentage. Here, 0.25 multiplied by 100 is equal to move the decimal place over 2 times, and you get 25 and then percent. And that is how you convert fractions to decimals, decimals to percentages, decimals to percentages. And now we have one more to do, converting a percentage back to a fraction. So we have the percentage 50%. So this, as you know, can be written as 50 over 100. Now we can try and simplify this. We can cross off zeros, and now we're left with 5 over 10. Now, let's divide the bottom by 5 and the top by 5. A reduced form of 5 over 10 is 1 over 2. We just converted the percentage 50% to the fraction 1/2. Now we can try it on this fraction as well. So our percentage was 25%. And since we know it's a percentage, it's out of 100. Now we can reduce this. 100 over 25 is equal to 4. No, 25 divided by 25 is equal to 1. And that's our fraction. And that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you keep reading and learning.